media outlet, and the headlines scream doom and despair. From Morgan Freeman's reoccurring death, to UFO sightings and the Cubs' worst season in history. Again. Along with the death of standard edited English, is it really so hard to believe that nuclear Armageddon is but a decrypted, encrypted code away? With such a post-apocalyptic future so close at hand, those of us planning to survive the nuclear Armageddon and ensuing chaos need to focus on honing our survival skill sets now. Through computer modeling and statistical analysis, scientists have determined that all of the chefs and fast food workers will be killed during the initial blast and the follow-up apocalyptic madness so prevalent in disaster movies of the 1980s. As you can see in this post-apocalyptic food service professionals to ravenous consumers ratio through time in relation to public service deputies in major metropolitan areas of the U.S. graph, feeding ourselves will become our #1 priority. So, what should we prepare when we're preparing for the apocalypse? How about some post-apocalyptic chili? Due to their long shelf lives and metal encasings, canned goods such as pork and beans, condensed tomato soup, and beef consommé should reasonably survive the blast wave and ensuing radioactive fallout, so common in man-made disasters. Dried pastas should also survive reasonably well, as in their dried form they're nearly indestructible. Trust me, I've tried to eat a dried macaroni and nearly chipped a tooth. These little babies are conveniently shaped as nuclear material symbols. How appropriate. Unfortunately, the fiery radioactive inferno will most likely burn the labels off your cans, so assembling your chili ingredients might be a bit of a crapshoot, until you learn to identify the encapsulated foodstuffs based on the metal music they make when you shake the cans. That's the beef consommé. The canned and dry ingredients will be quite easy to come by for this apocalypse chili, once you learn their unique canned harmonics. But we're also going to need a pound of fresh ground meat. Now, with the power stations that used to be powering the refrigerated section of your local grocer burning their way through the continental crust, we're going to need to look elsewhere for our protein. Really, the only decision you need to make is light meat or dark. Light meat it is, since dark meat got away before I could dispatch him. We'll need a hot cooking surface and a large heavy skillet. Large heavy skillets are wonderful for slow, even cooking, but they also work extremely well during that home invasion scenario that's all but guaranteed in the post-apocalyptic kitchen. And hot cooking surfaces will be in abundance, as fusion-fed flaming piles of detritus will continue to burn for some 24,000 years, which is the generally accepted half-life of weapons-grade plutonium. So grab your skillet and gather your supplies. It's time to make some post-apocalypse chili. Lucky for me, I've got this camp stove along with an entire milk crate filled with half-full propane bottles. I need to get started by preheating this skillet. Okay, this has been preheated. Let's get this ground meat in here. And this one's empty now. Change over to the next nearly empty one. If you happen to find salt and pepper anywhere, it wouldn't go amiss in this post-apocalyptic chili. So about a teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of pepper. Okay, this looks ready to start adding in all of our canned goods. And now our pasta. We need to let this simmer until this pasta is tender enough to eat. That'll probably be about 15 minutes. In the post-apocalyptic wasteland of tomorrow, we can be assured of one thing: mood lighting. So let's try our post-apocalypse chili by the sickly green glow of the radioactive shrubbery. Who left this running? With the end of civilization as we know it, comes dwindling resources. Though it's painful to contemplate, we must prepare for the day when we encounter our last bag of chocolate. Let's hope it's gourmet chocolate. We could hork it down in a fit of gluttonous ecstasy, or we could recognize its status as victual royalty and prepare it in a manner befitting its status. From fudge to cookies and candies to cakes, this chocolate would serve its purpose perfectly. But I want to send my sweet-addled taste buds off to gastronomic heaven in chocolate sublimity. In short, I'll be making the last bag of chocolate soup for dessert tonight. For our soup, aside from our 12 ounces of very good quality bittersweet chocolate, we're also going to need 4 cups of whole milk, 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk, a half teaspoon of kosher salt, and a 1/4 cup of coffee-flavored liqueur, such as Kahlua. Eventually, we're going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of instant espresso powder. Now, we're going to be heating this directly over a very low flame, and we're going to be using a very thick bottomed pan. Okay, we are going to whisk this soup continuously until all this chocolate melts and this soup begins to simmer. This is over medium-low heat. We're going to be cooking this soup until it's very smooth and all of the chocolate has completely melted. Probably about 20 minutes. Okay, this soup has started to simmer. We're going to turn this down to low as much as possible. There. And now we're going to go ahead and allow it to simmer very low for just a few more minutes to thicken up. Okay, you can see that this soup has thickened nicely. We're going to go ahead and turn off the heat, add in the vanilla and the espresso powder, and whisk till this is smooth. Okay, we need to let this soup cool to room temperature, which if you're experiencing nuclear winter, will be a very short amount of time. If you happen to find some non-radioactive strawberries, kiwi, and a few pineapple slices, these can be diced very finely and mixed together to make a beautiful relish for this last bag of chocolate soup. When the apocalypse happens, and it will, proper training and advanced preparation will be your keys to survival. Consider these two dishes, one pedestrian, one divine, when you're preparing for the end of the world. Thank you, and good night. Light meat or dark?